And now, introducing your host, LFA. We'll bring him back on if he calls in again. OP, what's up, brother?
What's going on, LFA?
Doing great. How are you?
Can't complain.
Good.
So let's hold on. Let me just fixing my audio setup real quick. 1 second. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. So, man, let's talk a little bit about building social circles.
Okay.
This is still, I think, the best thing that most guys can work on.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is far superior to game. This is basically the thing that most guys should be doing rather than being on dating apps. In fact, I would say that most guys are better off deleting dating apps. Okay. I actually would go so far as to say that dating apps are the worst thing for your mind. Terrible.
Why do you say that?
Okay. So here's the thing. If you are, let's say that you're one of these guys who's able to do really well on dating apps. Okay. Let's say that.
Snap.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say that you're part of the group of guys that can do very well on dating apps. Well, what you're doing is still, it's still kind of it's running away in a sense of what would actually be socially optimal for you. If you are high value enough to succeed on dating apps, there's probably much better things that you could be doing with your time, socially speaking. Now, they would require higher amounts of effort. Maybe you could be getting people together. Maybe you could be throwing parties. Maybe you could be doing all sorts of stuff. But instead, you're on an app, you're on a screen, messaging someone you barely know to meet up with them or to try to meet them, right? That energy should be directed into building connections and building relationships with the people who are already in your life. Okay.
Right.
Now, let's say that you are not part of the bracket of guys to whom dating apps are easy. Okay. Well, if you're not part of that bracket, it's also a waste of time because that's not going to help you. It's going to be a distraction. It's going to waste your time. It's going to put you in a bad mindset. Dating apps are already stacked against you. Every girl has way more guys in her DMs than you have girls to talk to. And so you're just making yourself one of those dudes in the DMs when instead you could actually be building social circles, inviting people out, getting people together. And when you're getting people together, the deck is always stacked in your favor, even at the lower levels of social value.
Yeah, 100%. And even if you're a guy, like you said, if you're a guy that's cleaning up on dating apps, like in 2020, when they shut everything down, I think pretty much everybody was on dating apps, like March 2020. And in that time period, it was very easy for me to pull chicks, but I realized when I would pull them, I had nothing to do with them besides like invite them over to my place.
Sure.
And for a guy out there that doesn't have a social circle, even, it could be 2018 or 2022, 2023. If you have no social circle, that's all you have to offer. So if you have a social circle and you're on the dating apps, then when you meet women on dating apps, you have a social circle to bring them into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you don't have that social circle to begin with, you're going to fail on all levels, because even if you're able to get matches on Tinder, they're ultimately going to leave you anyways because you're boring.
Exactly. And so that's a thing, right? Is like if you don't have a social circle, you kind of lack the foundation of social value to offer. And this is also this is why like you do have people who are successful and have the looks money status, but they still have trouble. There are guys out there who have pretty high levels of like they have good jobs, they're well put together, but they don't have the social skills. And social skills are very important. And that's something that every guy should actively be working to improve. Now, I agree with the idea that you can meet girls on dating apps and then invite them to things that you're doing. And I think that this is the main paradigm shift that most guys need to understand. You should not be just trying to hang out with a girl one on one in the very early stages. You should have a fun social life where there's fun stuff to do. You should have between 2 to 3 different things that you can invite a stranger to join you on week to week. And so every guy needs to set up a social life where he has that going on. They don't have to be crazy parties. Like I like clubs, I like parties, I like more sort of like loud, chaotic scenarios. Man, it could be some shit like fucking apple picking. Okay. You know, like there's a market, there's a group of people who like to do that. I mean, I don't drink alcohol, but you can do wine tasting. I know that's a thing that people are into. Yeah, they're different things, but you should have something going on, something you're interested in that should be giving you emotional abundance. And
Yeah.
emotional, like everyone talks about an abundance mindset in terms of quantity of females. But I actually think that that is a very weak place to view abundance from. You should view abundance as having a life of cool friends, cool things to do, cool hobbies that energize you and give you happiness and joy. And you should have friends who you're, doing cool shit with, cracking funny jokes that puts you in that emotional, energetic state. That's what you got to have going on. That's real abundance. You could have 10 girls that want to bang you and you could still be depressed. Guys don't realize this because they operate from such a position of scarcity. They don't understand that even if they did have all these girls wanting to bang them, they could still be miserable.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, having friends definitely matters. You got to have some sort of you have to have a support system. You have to have a network of people that are like-minded, and I would say also are as driven as you to succeed, and you can kind
Yeah.
of help each other progress through life. But on top of that, just to add on to what you're saying, the majority of women, especially on a dating app, they have like the amount of options they have. And I'm not talking about just men that they have options with. I'm talking activities that they have to do that these men provide. Like women can like literally have dozens. Like I can go on a boat with this guy. I can go to VIP with this guy. I can go to an amusement park with this guy. I can go to a concert with this guy. And if you're going to be the guy on a dating app that's like, I'm chilling at my apartment if you want to come over, it's like,
Yeah.
good fucking luck. You are irrelevant, and, it's always going to be that way. So, you have to be a guy out there that definitely, has shit going on.
Yeah. Like
Otherwise,
why? Yeah. And then we have to kind of like take one step back and look at the root of the problem. Why are you chilling at your apartment? What
yeah,
the fuck are you
yeah,
doing? Are you
exactly.
working
Yeah,
on something? Are you doing something with your time? If not,
yeah,
get the fuck out of your apartment.
right, 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 right.
And
Well,
this
and
is
and honestly, I think it's more difficult to make male friends than it is to pick up women, because picking up women is
good
just
male
kind of
friends.
natural.
Yeah.
I mean, but making real dude friends, like guy friends, that's very difficult. So that should be the first battle that every man conquers. Like once you accomplish that, you're going to do fine, because you're just going to have situations where, your friend has a new girlfriend and she has a friend and she's bringing her friend along. You're just going to have so many situations where it's just basically, it's going to be easy for you at that point.
Yeah. One so long, when COVID had just lifted, my social circle was at a very it was in a really bad place. I was
Yeah.
in college at the time. COVID had just ended, and like it was like this gigantic social reset button. And this is a very useful exercise that I think everyone should do. They should get a journal and they should write in their journal what they want their social life to look like. What kind of people do you want to hang out with? What kind of people do you want in your life? What kind of people do you connect with? What type of things do you enjoy doing? And how are you going to meet people who like doing those things as well? And so when you get clear about what you want and you define what you want, it's actually really wild how something in the universe just kind of clicks, and you end up finding that once you are very clear about what it is that you want. And so like, and I'm talking like getting very specific. Like, if you want, if you like working out and you want a crew of like other jacked people like you who also like working out, and you want to like have like a very like hardcore fitness social circle, write that down and then figure out where you're going to meet those people. So for example, like most people who go to the gym are not actually in particularly good shape. And so if you're one of the guys that's actually consistent, that's actually making big gains in the gym, you know, you probably want to hang out with other people who are doing the same shit. So you're not that guy tagging along in the social circle who's like the only person in shape, the only person jacked. Everyone else wants to like eat trash food. You're just not going to be able to relate to those people. And so
Right.
what happens is your social life will drain you of energy because the people you're surrounding yourself with are on a different path than you are. So you need to find men who are on the same path that you're on, and you guys will keep each other in check. You will support each other. You will energize each other's success. When you sit down, and this is the other thing, this is a big test to see if you're with a group of men who are going to go places. When you sit down and you talk stuff, are you talking about goals? Are you talking about business? Are you talking about challenges that you're taking on? Or are you just gossiping about girls? Oh, my girlfriend. Oh, she said this the other day. Oh, she said that, man. I don't know what to do. Like complaining about girls or talking about girls or talking. It's like all the time. And it's like, geez, man, this is not actually consequential.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Does it?
You cut off right when I was typing. Yeah. Uh, Sorry, I kind of lost track. Yeah, your social circle is, it's very important. Like, okay, as you were saying, if you're into fitness, if you're into working out, you want a social circle full of people that are doing that sort of thing. But it's also about progressing your life. Like I guarantee you, just about everybody that has ever came up with an idea to start their own gym, whether it be, I'm kind of against CrossFit, but whether it be CrossFit or, a bodybuilding gym or a powerlifting gym or whatever it is, I can almost guarantee that the idea came from having a circle of people that are into it and somebody saying like, we need to start our own gym. And then it's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then they're networking, they're looking for buildings, they're, looking for business partners and different partnerships, and they're getting it done. But you can't just be a lone wolf and accomplish these sort of things. I mean, you can if you have a lot of money and you're able to make it happen, but if you're just a regular guy that's starting from the bottom, you have to have a social circle. You have to have a network in order to accomplish these things. It's just the way it is. Otherwise, it's just never going to happen.
100%. And these are the things that I think these are healthy things to fill your mind with. And this circles back to why you should stay off of dating apps. Dating apps will basically push you to have your attention on women when it shouldn't really be there. If you're just going about your day and you're going about your work day and you're whipping out your phone, every hour or so to talk to women that you've never met, women who have a bunch of other guys trying to do the same thing, you're sort of setting yourself up mentally and internally for failure because you cannot possibly be on your purpose while doing that. The issue I think with a lot of people who focus on pickup or focus on game is they preach about being on your purpose. But if you are trying to pursue a woman in that way, you are by definition off of your purpose. And so it's like looking for dopamine in the wrong ways. You should be trying to like, you should be focused. And in order to be focused, you have to be doing the appropriate thing at the appropriate time. And so if there is not a woman in front of you, if you are not in a setting that is a social setting with women around, you shouldn't really be thinking about chicks. You should be thinking about doing things that are going to increase your social value. And it doesn't necessarily, like, increasing your social value doesn't have to be doing things that other people are going to value. It can mean doing things that you yourself value, because that will turn you into a more integrated person. And being a more integrated person with a good personality does make you more appealing to everyone.
Yeah. Well, what about this though? In a social circle, so let's say you have a giant social circle. You've got like 15 to 20 dudes that are pretty close friends. Like you're all there for each other, and it's all a good thing. So you guys are putting on some sort of an event, and there's going to be a lot of people around. You still, I believe, have to some degree, I think it's male nature to want to climb the top of the dominance hierarchy in your social circle. Like
Sure.
you want to be the dude. And I think there should be an element of every guy in the social circle should be trying to be the dude. You know what I mean? So it kind of empowers you all to get better. Like I highly doubt when like Andrew Tate and Jay Waller and, you know, those guys are all running around, you know, they're all trying to be the alpha, the big G of the group. You know what I mean? And
do you think that's the case?
100%. And I think because of that, you know, they're constantly trying to outdo each other. And it's just it's a good, Brett Overman says, healthy competition, you know, in that group.
Yeah.
But
I would say this though. I would say that because they have that group dynamic, they're all pushing each other up, and it's not just in the form of competition. It's in the form of like encouragement. It's in the form of like you can fucking do this. You know, I'm going to push you. I'm going to challenge you to do better for yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want for each other.
And if you don't, you're probably out of the circle.
100%.
You know, eventually you're going to be dead weight.
Okay. So in my experience, like I've had these kinds of groups, and we've thrown these kinds of parties, and we've done a lot of social things with each other. In my friend group, we're not so much trying to outcompete each other as we are trying to push the entire friend group forward. And each person offers something very different. And this is what actually makes a good social circle, when people have a very strong value proposition. Okay, so I'll give an example. One guy might be the most jacked guy in the group. Another guy might, instead of being jacked, like he's really well traveled, he travels a lot, does a lot of cool activities, does a lot of cool hobbies. And so what happens is like you have a group of guys who have very well-defined personalities, similar overarching goals, and that group dynamic actually makes, like, if you were to show up with your squad to a party, each of you looks more attractive in the group than you do separate, because you guys complement each other so well. You know, you're in conversations, you guys can crack jokes, make each other laugh, put each other in a happy mood, you know, banter a bit, like fuck around, do a bunch of fun stuff. I mean, this is kind of why when guys are in college and they join fraternities, you can have a guy who's a total dork, he joins a fraternity and suddenly he starts getting a bunch of chicks. That's because if you have the right group of guys, they push each other up socially. They make each other more appealing based on the social dynamics of how they integrate with one another.
Yeah. And I think each person in the group is resourceful in a different way. As you were saying, you know, one guy's jacked. He may have the gym knowledge. One guy is well-traveled. He's got experience all over the world. Maybe one guy is extremely wealthy, you know, and can provide different things to the group. It's great to have, I think ultimately this should be a prerequisite before you even find the social circle. You have to provide value to that circle.
100%.
So I think, you know, it's kind of like a man's mission is, it's almost endless. Like there's just so many different levels. I think ultimately a guy needs to find some sort of a purpose within himself. Like,
Yeah.
and that has to be something that is going to provide value to him as an individual. And then he
Yeah.
can take this value, bring it to the social circle. And now he's a valuable member of that circle. He's irreplaceable because he brings value
Right.
that somebody else doesn't bring. And with having different forms of value, like one isn't necessarily better than the other. It's just different. But
Yeah.
value is value.
Yeah. And you can only work on so many things at once. So, you're inevitably you're going to lack something. You can't have
Yeah.
it. You can, over time, you can work towards accumulating everything. You can work towards accumulating the physique, the
Yep.
finances, the social circle, the social skills, the style, the cool and exciting and interesting experiences. But you kind of have to acquire those one at a time. Most people take a long time to figure out what actually works for them in the gym and what actually works for them nutrition wise. And you only figure that out by putting serious effort in the gym. And once you figure out the routines you want to do and that kind of stuff, you can just kind of autopilot that. It's the same thing for your career. You need to invest a lot of upfront effort into developing a skill set. And if you're ambitious, you might want to be in the top 1% of that skill set. And if you want to be in the top 1%, you're going to be competing against a lot of smart and competent people. And once you establish dominance of some domain, then you can start to branch out. And like, this is very interesting. And this is something I've noticed. I had these friends, and so they might start out a little nerdy in college because they're focused on their grades, man. They're getting straight A's, they're networking at the career fairs, getting the best internships, getting invited to honor societies, doing extracurriculars like a sport, that kind of stuff. They're really involved. They get an amazing job. What happens when you get an amazing job? Well, good companies actually give you free personal trainers and free gym memberships to like luxury gyms. And now everyone at this company, now that they have professional success, everyone at the company works out and has personal trainers and that kind of stuff. And so then fitness starts to fall into place. And now since you're successful and you're fit, then your social life just spirals and takes off. But these are the things that need real attention. These are the things that your brain has to kind of be focused on building. And comes back to why you should delete your dating apps. Dating apps are going to distract you from that. If you have Instagram, you have like Snapchat, you have TikTok, and you have dating apps, you're way too distracted to be doing any of the stuff you should be doing. You could waste 4 to 5 hours a day just switching between these different social network apps. You're not getting any shit done. You're not progressing. You're slowing yourself the hell down. And so like, the more distractions you can cut out of your life, honestly, you should. And you should keep things at their bare essentials. And that's how you actually progress. And that's how you actually spiral and take off.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. Trying to think of a follow up on that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just continue rattling off and then I'll dip for a bit. But so like the way that me and my friends kind of set up a very good social circle is people like brought different things to the table. So one of
Yeah.
our friends had a really cool apartment that we could throw parties at. And it was like a sick apartment. The guy was living in a penthouse at the time. He had like a sound system installed and he had the walls basically soundproofed so that you wouldn't have issues of like people calling or complaining about the noise. He actually
Yeah.
took care of that up front. So we pretty much had like essentially our own functional nightclub. And so then we had another friend who was a DJ and he was a really good DJ. And so, he could rock the party really well. So now you've got the venue, you've got the DJ. My other friend was like, he just like knew so many chicks. He was like a really outgoing social guy. So he had all of these girls on Instagram. He'd invite them to the parties. And you'd basically get these insane parties with like wild ratios. They're super fun, whatever. But the main idea is that, you got to find yourself a crew, and you want to develop your personality, and you want to be focused on having a strong mental point of origin. And the way you do that is by dedicating your time and energy towards turning and molding yourself into a more exciting and more captivating person, rather than pursuing validation and pursuing attention. And dating apps put you in the mental state of looking for attention, looking for validation, looking for someone else to give you their approval and their stamp of like, I like you. Rather, you should be setting yourself up in social situations where other people seek that from you. That's what you ideally want.
CSS Element says, don't just maintain frame, build it.
That's an absolute fact. That's an absolute fact. And what you said earlier before I got onto this, Vagabond says you have to add to the crew and not be a freeloader. That's an absolute fact as well. You have to make sure that, you should know what you bring to the table. And if you have a very good idea of what you bring to the table, then you know what you don't bring to the table, and you're able to recognize when other people offer things you don't, and you're able to recognize that value because you know what you're seeking out for yourself. So all of these things are really important, and all of these things take a lot of effort and a lot of time to get this in place. But when you have these things on place, your dating life will essentially be automatic. It is automatic once you have these things in place. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to stress about it. You don't have to be thirsty. You build yourself a social life where you're essentially the man. And when you said, what you said this, I think you said this very well. It was something like, you don't need the affirmations. The world gives you back the affirmations if you're putting in the work. Was that what you said?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right. So what you want to do is you want to set up a life that gives you the affirmations that you need. That's really what you want. And you need to realize that you almost want to design and manipulate your environment to force you to be in the right mentality. And you need to get rid of anything that takes you out of the wrong mentality.
Yeah, that's facts. That's a good way to summarize that, because the dating apps, all of the I would say chasing women in general, that takes you out of that. That's not the direction you want to be moving in.
Exactly. Cold approach takes you out of that. Dating apps take you out of that. And so the problem is that, like, these PUAs, typically what they talk about is like that they work with clients who are successful, and they work with clients who have all these things going for them, but the one thing lacking in their life is their dating life.
Yeah.
And so I think that I find it very hard to believe that these people have built social circles. I think that typically if somebody's lacking in the dating category, they have everything lined up, they have everything going for them, except their dating life is somehow shit. It's probably just because they're not putting themselves out there in the right way. They're not being social enough. And cold approach is not the solution to that. Cold approach is the opposite of being on your purpose. When you cold approach somebody, you're implying to the girl that you have so few women in your life. You have so few women who actually want to be around you that you need to halt everything and go out of your way to meet a new woman. I'm not saying that there's anything inherently wrong with seeing a girl and maybe walking up to her, but the idea that this is a skill that you need to master is a very wrong mindset. You will...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you will waste lots of time. You will waste an insane amount of time. It is not smart.
Yeah, well, I think the PUA mindset versus the social circle, we'll call it the social value mindset, it's kind of like being a guy at a nightclub that is like at a PUA boot camp, and you're basically, as far as everybody knows, you're all by yourself, and you're just running around. You approach 50 women that night.
Mhm.
versus a guy with a social circle that's just sitting in the VIP with 10 of his friends.
Mhm.
And it's like literally all the women are trying to talk to one of these guys. It doesn't even matter which one. They just want to talk to one of these guys so they can get into that social circle. You know what I mean? So it just kind of does the work for you at that point.
100%. 100%. Yeah, and like the other thing is that once you have a squad of, social guys who are high value or whatever, you know, you have the benefit that girls are actively looking for you. Women, this is the myth, like women are actively looking for those guys. And so if you are one of those guys and your entire friend group consists of those guys, you know, you're just gonna like almost by accident meet them. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that should be focused on. Dating apps should not be a focus. I think that having a good social media is something that you should work on. And the way you develop a good social media is you have a fun life and then you just document it. And so
Yeah.
the emphasis needs to be on building an interesting life, a life that you find interesting first, not that other people are going to find interesting. You need to find it interesting and then you need to document it. That's the right way to approach it.
How would you say that one goes about building an interesting life? Like before you have the social circle, what do you think the first step would be?
The thing is okay, that's a very good question because what you're asking is essentially if you're starting from ground zero.
Yeah, let's say you're a 19-year-old guy who is fresh out of high school and you've just moved to a new state.
And is this 19-year-old guy, is he good at anything, or is he like a total nerd with no friends and like no prior accomplishments? Like is he like, does he have anything going for him?
We'll just say he's a 19-year-old guy. He's capable of doing things, but he hasn't done anything yet. So
Yeah, sure.
yeah,
Okay. So, this 19-year-old person in question has likely gone through high school. So at least he should have some idea of, so step one is get on a career trajectory. That's the most important thing. And that's just simply because you have to eat, you have to make money. That's a basic thing you need to take care of. And I would say that it's very important for that 19-year-old to think about something that he enjoys doing, that energizes him, that he's passionate about, because you want something that you love enough that you're going to really go hard on it. And if work is just work to you and it's not energizing and it's not something you're passionate about, then you're going to treat it like work, which is basically doing the bare minimum. And so you don't want that. You want something that you are going to be so passionate about that you're driven to be the best at it. And so,
yeah. So let's say he's passionate about something. Gosh, so let's say he's passionate about music. We'll just use like
okay,
an easy example.
yeah,
What do you think? What do you think his first step should be to becoming a valuable person?
find a different passion. Find a different passion. That is not like, okay.
I know. Okay. Bad example. I was just trying to use something.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so,
Let's
so,
say
so
his.
that,
Go ahead.
there has to be, and a lot of people fall into this crap or into this trap, right? There's like a small group of activities where you could be really fucking good at it and nobody will pay you any money for it.
Yeah.
And music just happens to fall into that. The
Right.
only scenario where you can monetize music is if you are wildly popular and you're like godly at it. And
Yeah.
so it's probably not a legitimate career path for you unless you're prepared to take a massive risk. And the risk is that you try your best at something for 10 years and you get nothing in return. That's the
Right.
risk you're taking when you choose music. That's not a risk I advise anybody to take. Like, yeah, you have outliers, but you don't want your life plan to hinge on you being an outlier.
Well, okay. Let's say their passion is it's not necessarily in a specific trade, but their passion is entrepreneurship. They want to be their own
Yeah.
boss and they want to make a lot of money.
Okay, sure. So, I mean, what they should probably do is develop a skill that has that transfers to entrepreneurship. Okay, so if you look at most entrepreneurs, most of them have an engineering background. They have some kind of technology background, some kinds of engineering background, because they understand how building a product works. So you should probably study some kind of engineering, get really fucking good at it. And if you fail at entrepreneurship, your floor is six figures. You know, if you study that, maybe you want to do finance, maybe you want to do like a deal making profession. Well, you can study finance, you can work really hard at it, you can get a job at an investment bank, you can make six figures. And if you're a good investment banker, you can make like bonuses that are close to millions of dollars that are in the high six figures. That's a very, like, this is the funny thing is that like entrepreneurship is not the only way to become a millionaire. There are a lot of jobs that provide you a path to become a millionaire if you're truly ready to grind. You know, you're not going to get like a balanced 40-hour a week job that will make you a millionaire, but there are millionaires that work at Google. There are millionaires that work at
Oh,
Facebook. There are millionaires that work at Goldman Sachs. There are millionaires that work at basically like all of these major companies. So that's one thing. So pick a career path. It doesn't even have to be something it just has to be something that you like enough that you can get lost in it. That, you know, and it's like that's the step one that we've kind of sorted out is the career.
yeah.
Now, you know, but that's not going to make you socially valuable necessarily. Your career alone is not going to do that for you.
It'll make you valuable. It might not make you socially skilled.
Exactly.
But I think that's where the value comes from, doesn't it?
Exactly. So like the next thing, and you know, this is the next basic thing, you need a fitness routine. You need a fitness and a nutrition routine. Funny enough is that your fitness and nutrition routine will help you with your professional success as well, because you will just be mentally better. When your physical health is better, your mental health is also better. They go hand in hand. And so your performance is going to be night and day better if you have a good fitness routine. The next thing, and this is something that is very slept on, you got to read books. Books give you good ideas. They give you great ideas. And you build a lot of books, or if you read a lot of books, you're going to have opinions on things. You're going to have insights. You're going to have thoughts that are unique and original.
Yeah, it makes you a much better talker. I haven't been reading much lately, and I find myself like a lot of times I'm trying to, you know, when I'm speaking, I'm like breaking off my sentences mid-sentence. And it's like when I was reading a lot, that didn't happen. I was just like very, you know, I was a much better speaker. And I haven't been reading much lately, but I think being a good talker is the most important social skill you can have when you want to build a social circle. I mean, you have to be a good talker, right? If you're an interesting conversationalist, that's a very good trait to have when it comes to making friends and making connections, isn't it?
For sure.
Yeah.
And what it will also do is it will teach you how to be a persuasive person. And
Yeah.
so when I say read books, I'm talking about read the the classics, read books that literally changed human history.
Yeah.
Read something like Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. That is the foundation of capitalism. All of capitalism is essentially based on that one book. And if you read that, that will inform your understanding of the world. That will give you unique and interesting thoughts to actually talk about. And so like people don't want to do this because I think like people kind of view this as nerdy. And that's kind of because there are a lot of people who read a lot of books, but they don't have the other things in place. They read a lot of books, but they don't work out. They read a lot of books, but they're not social. So, you know, these are different pieces of the puzzle, and reading books will teach you how to speak well. It will teach you how to persuade people. It will give you confidence when you speak because you will come across as someone who knows what he is talking about, not someone who is a bumbling idiot. And people who
Yeah.
don't read, man, it catches up with you. It will sabotage. If you think that you can just go through life and not read and not piggyback off of the ideas of extremely brilliant people, you are setting yourself up for failure. You know, the ideas that I've gotten from books have just been insane. I've read one book that would just completely give me a paradigm shift. And so you got to read good books. You've got to read hard books.
What book is that?
Okay, so I mean, I could give a list of incredible books right off the bat. So the first,
Top three.
okay, The Count of Monte Cristo.
The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah. So this book is basically, it's such a red-pilled book, by the way. But essentially, this dude, he's like really successful. Things are working out for him in life. He has like a girlfriend. His friend is basically jealous of him and frames him for a crime. And he gets like life imprisonment. He escapes from prison, basically becomes rich after escaping from prison, and plans revenge on all of his enemies. And so it's a sick story. So if you want a sick book, that's a sick book. It's classic. It's super long, so it's going to take some dedication. So that's top one.
Okay.
Top two, I'd say Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. That's going to basically tell you what the fundamental ideas were in Europe that started capitalism, that then became the foundation for the economic system that was established in America. And so it will get you thinking about what makes nations successful. It's not the only book you need, but it's the first book you need to start thinking about that.
Okay. Book number three.
Third book, Deep Work by Cal Newport. He talks about how to be focused, how to be productive, how to build routines of productivity, routines of focus, and how to eliminate distraction. I think everyone should read that book. Every man should read that book. It's absolutely essential.
Okay. So here's where we were at. We were at the 19-year-old guy. He moves to a new state. He has nothing, but he wants to build his social network. So he's going to simultaneously focus on his career, his physical fitness, and wait, did I cut off?
Yeah, you cut off for a second. Just
Okay.
after the career, fitness, and
reading books.
Yeah.
Okay. So what should the next step be?
Have one hobby that will get him socializing with other people. And specifically, it should be a competitive hobby. And it should be a hobby where there is a way to measure your success and skill. Okay. And so I'll just list some examples. We're going to list a variety of different examples. The first one would be any kind of sport. Okay. If you're doing any kind of sport and you're serious about getting good at it, that will get you interfacing with other high value men, because it's competitive, it's physical, it's social, competitive, physical, and social. This could be anything from you want to play soccer, you want to play American football, you want to do wrestling, you want to start going to a mixed martial arts gym and do Muay Thai or do kickboxing or do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But you should be doing something like that. That's the first thing. The other thing is an intellectual hobby. Okay. You can dive into chess. Chess is a little bit, again, it might not boost your social value, but it will teach you how to think about life strategically. That is a good skill that you might want in your arsenal. You could play poker. Poker is a strategy game. You could, hell, dude, even if you want to pick up like an esport, okay, that's probably not going to help your social life, but it will give you something. The bottom line is you should have one thing that is not related to your career that you can get good at over time. That will give you an extra boost of confidence, because you'll have your career, you'll be in shape, you'll be well-read, and you'll have a hobby. And those instantly make you somebody that other people want to be friends with. Golf. Marlon White listed golf. Golf is a great one.
Okay, so now you have all of these things down, right? You've got your career, so your finances are on track. You're physically fit. You're well educated. You've read the good books, and you've got some solid hobbies.
Yeah.
So now, how do you transition this into networking with people?
Okay, sure. So through the different activities that you're doing, odds are you have some friends. They might not be like the top tier, best possible friends you could have. You're going to know some people. you have acquaintances. You know, you're going to know people through work. You're going to know people through your hobby. You're going to know people, yeah, probably at this point only through work and hobbies. So here's what you do. Pick the 4 guys in your life that you think you vibe with the most. Just go through everyone who you think is an acquaintance. Who are the 4 guys that you think you get along with the best? Introduce them all to each other. If they don't already know each other, introduce all of them to each other. Get them together. Arrange like a steak dinner. Go out for steaks with the bros and just talk shop. And so in my experience, whenever I've done this, it's always turned out well. Everyone always gets along famously. It has several advantages for you because you're the one who brought everyone together. People think that you're the shit. Like, people make a new friend because of you. You're like, damn, dude, like LFA introduced me to this guy and he's like a dope dude. And like LFA just invited me to this dinner where I met a bunch of cool people and now we're all hanging out. You get them all for dinner, you talk shop, you talk about goals, you talk about what you're into, you just get that conversation going. Now you want to make sure that this is, for now, right, this is your squad. Now, people over time will leave your squad and new people will enter your squad, but you've got your first squad. What you need to do is you need to make sure that you're meeting with your squad once a week. No girls, no nothing, just you and the boys. You're sitting down and you're talking shop. You're talking about what's going on in your life. You're talking about your goals. You're talking about the problems. You need to get that discourse rolling. So every week you're meeting with the boys just to talk, okay? The next thing that you need to do is you need to start doing some nights out, or you need to start organizing some social events. So like, you might meet with the boys to get dinner with the guys every Wednesday, and then every Friday you all go out. Now in this stage, you should go and you should be trying to meet girls. You might have to do a little bit of cold approach, but you're not doing cold approach as in like you're trying to sleep with them that night. You're just getting to know them. You're being cool. You're striking up a conversation. You're exchanging numbers. And then what you do is the next week when you go out, you invite those girls that you've met and they know you, right? So, you know, if these girls are already on dating apps, they can choose to go out with strangers, or they can choose to go out with that really cool guy they talked to last week that they had a great conversation with. They're probably going to choose you. You're already validated. They already know you're cool. You do this every week. You hang out with your guys. Then you go out, you invite some girls. Over time, as those girls start to develop connections and friendships with you, they always want to go out with you. Every week now, you have a squad. Now, what do? You just build it up from there. Maybe you connect with these people. You want to do like a trip. You do a trip with them. You go somewhere cool. You do like a beach vacation with them. Maybe you go to Cancun. Maybe you start throwing parties with them. The network effects of this just like it just escalates so quickly. Before you know it, you'll just like know 100 new people. You'll meet 100 new people. You'll integrate, like you'll add them on Instagram. They'll add you. And the benefit of social media today is that you can actually manage social circles that are like huge. And now when you want to throw parties, you know people are going to come. Now when you want to do anything, like people just want to hang out with you, and that's already sorted. And basically at that point, you've got the full setup. You just have to maintain it all.
Solid. So you focus on your career. You focus on your physical fitness. You read books. You develop some sort of a hobby that is also a skill, you could say. And then you organize social events.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good plan. You know, a lot of guys, these are things that pretty much every guy out there in the chat has probably accomplished like half of that list already. But a lot of them probably haven't quite done the math on how to complete these steps. And when you put it like that, that's very educational for people out there. You know, they can say, well, shit, if you just, when you organize it like that and compartmentalize, I mean, it's not that difficult. You can actually make this happen.
Exactly. But the thing is that you need all of them simultaneously. And I think that's why a lot of guys struggle, is because they might have 3 of those things, but they don't know what the other two are, and they can't figure out why they're messing up or where they're messing up. And so I think that that's why it can be frustrating and confusing. Like, imagine if you have, like, you've got the career and you've got the fitness, but you haven't really been reading books. You don't have any interesting thoughts. So you don't even have anything to talk about with people in a conversation. You have nothing to really contribute. You just like a successful, jacked guy who's like has no personality, basically.
Right.
And so there are guys who are like that, and they just can't figure out why things are going wrong. Or they're guys who have the career and they're reading and they have a hobby, but they don't have fitness and they don't have a social circle. And so like they're like, I'm successful and I'm interesting and I'm like cool, but I'm still not getting it. I'm still not winning. And the thing you have to understand is like so few men have all 5 of those things working for them simultaneously. So few have it that when you do, like everyone talks about, oh, like women have unrealistic expectations for guys. When you have those 5 things, you are the unrealistic expectation. You are that top tier guy that, people, when a woman talks about wanting you, people laugh and they say, ha, you're never going to get a guy like that, but you are that guy.
Yeah, 100%. That is very well said. This is LFA Clips. If you'd like to watch the full show, subscribe to LFA Live.